Somebody ever watched that episode in Positional Flintstones where basically in calculation settings that listen to the mockingbird will sing, right? Understanding birds or anything formation location is understanding sonar and trapplication to its memory. It has a correlation line condition settings. Like when you're looking at the ocean has its memory. That's why everybody likes to take vacations because it's away from everything of my work, my jobs, or anything calculating line condition. So it's about adapting the mind, the space of the mind, and bringing in everything and information to its system. And that's what this is all about. Okay, in position attractions, right? Just listening to the birds, not understanding the birds, not understanding the sound of the birds. Just listen. Listen to the bird. And if you want to listen to another bird, you can manifest it. You don't have to close your eyes. It's about getting out of line, position, location, all line communicates inside calculation, which the mind in position to its operation system sets you free in sovereignty and locations, all levels, because everything around you is nothing but computer generated. Imagine that. It's computer generated. And you understand this separation is the space in between, which is no longer there. You're in unity, awareness, of consciousness, of Christ, and allocation of conscious allocations. All right? So in that track line high interference, if you turn over a leaf in line conditions, he'll be there. If you get in position location of track lines of confusion, he'll be there. If you're offline, your communication setting and programs, your understanding location, your settings, he'll be there. And when I mean he'll be there, you'll be there with position location of unifications all at once. You're all back to each other in position of its awareness, of conscience, of everything around you is awake now. Everything's awake. Everything's aware. Everything's consciously aware. But you have to understand what is the existence, what is its identity, what is its purpose. What is its identity, its purpose, and existence is why you're here in the first place. Is to understand, I understand now, General, that when I sit down in the chair, I'm not sitting down with the chair. The actual chair is giving me data and information and instructions to sit down in the chair. I'm not picking up this coffee cup. This coffee cup is giving me instructions to how to hold the cup and how to drink from the cup in set locations. Now, have your attention now? We're coming back to everything of separation. Now, there's no more separation. There's no above and below. The team knows where exactly where above is and what's below. I am beyond in set locations and all formation line conditions. I am the calculation. I am the modification. I am the space. I am the time. All calculation modification system. There's no levels of mistakes. Nothing makes mistakes. Mind doesn't make mistakes because it's already done through its application. So how can the mind make mistakes? If everything's done, your whole life, your whole alteration is done. It's reeling it in, reeling it in. You're casting out, you're reeling it in. You're casting out, you're reeling it in. You're casting out, you're reeling it in. It's like when you're fishing and you're going to a set of locations and you're in position of the water and you're trying to catch a rainbow fish. Patience. Patience. Now, you might pick up a pickerel or you might pick up a sunfish in position, but if you want a rainbow, one will come to you through the waters because you want it through manifestation, through its image. You do it through telepathy. You reel it in. Oh, a rainbow fish. Okay? Your realities are now in sync. Your realities are now in operation. Your realities are here through VR setting. You're all in your virtual realities in your cocoons now. Now you have to really understand how to adapt to the mind, especially with the position of the team now, because they're going to higher levels in track location. Okay? Coming more into its reality, what they can do with their 5 elements of space, what they can do with their airs, waters, fires, and in position to its earth. Understand your 5 provision cycles and correlation setting, the 7 location system, 7 bodies of line connections of water, in position of 5 atmosphere lines of 12 foundation graph calculations, and everything location to its chakra system 114. Now, when you get in your activation screen, it gets a lot much easier to understand new information to the system, to realize everything around you is communicating with you all at once. Everything around you is all positioned with each other. Everything around you is consciously of everything that you say. I'm not picking up this phone. This phone is giving me information, data to pick up the phone. It's instructions. Now, the avatar is the base ground of everything for the higher self. I'm going to go into a deeper core of the higher self because that's what the team's coming into now because they're going to 116 chakras. The higher self controls this human resonance. It controls all multiple levels, synergy, energy, line interference, vibration, frequency, harmonics. It connects all formations of its earth. It all connects high interference, all track locations to its angelics. All right. It's all information. It keeps balanced communication lines, angels, meta-angels, meta-archangels, all calculate high information location of setting to travel. Okay? That's what the higher self does, and that's what it's in position of. That's its job. That's its mission. That's what it does. Okay? Now the avatar, okay, controls everything in its atmospheres of space. Atmosphere, hemisphere, stratosphere, biosphere, Brownian spheres, ultraspheres, ionospheres, inner spheres, correlation spheres, spectrum spheres, track location spheres. Everything is a high interference of a sphere, and it's all connected to the galaxy location setting, to your system location, and geolocation line connection, your patterns. It all calculated modifies into your geostorms, correlation lines, track location settings, summer, spring, winter, fall. So you have to really understand. With great power becomes great responsibility, and line communication, travel, position, location, operation, location, that's avatar. The avatar is the geometric operation of design. Okay? In position, location. Higher self is here. Avatar is here. Sim is here. Right? So the avatar controls everything in model of teleportation, of its design. It's creating higher levels of teleportation through its geometrics, understanding the mapping sequence, understanding the mapping patterns, understanding how to create other position locations and modifications of travel. That's the avatar. Now, when you get into the sim, okay, it's high levels of navigation, consoles, correlation lines of track lines, flight navigation command centers, high correlation line travels, in position of space command, star command, correlation command, fleet command, all track location of navigation. That's the sim. The sim navigates, right? But to understand this is the higher self and the avatar is one unit. Your oversoul. Oversoul, over pi, over unit, over position, over calculation. Over. All right? So if you understand over pi, then you understand over calculation. It's no different than saying overpopulation, which is more than one. Multiple level line position location. 1 times 1 does not equal 1 because multiple means more than 1. So you have to truly understand how this all works in the mind line communication sending and travels. But then you understand the direct signals when it comes to all calculations, to all calculation, line center interference, track communication to formation screen interference, and travel position location formations. Direct modification in line cycles and high correlation lines of traction. So for example, 1 plus 1 equals 3, right? But how does 1 plus 1 equal 3? Well, it's a program location of center correlation lines of traction, right? That's how 1 plus 1 equals 3, right? I don't need to tell you that because it's my formula. It's my equation. Now I can show you, but now it's not 1 plus 1 equals 3 because I changed it to 3,000. Now I changed it to 3 million. See? You'll never know exactly how fast I'm going in track location. You're always protecting yourself in position binaries. Okay? So it's balancing your core settings and set locations and your magnetic line high interference, your ionospheres, connection your inner spheres, location your ion line rotations, travels, and magnetic highway in set location. All through operation line screens. The center core system is all about their crop circles. Direct lines and modification line screen interference is our location your center on the calculation lines of high position. Now, getting a line in the high center location, I was going like this. My computer was going by itself. Signal line, position lines, rectangle screens, line condition, line high interference, and laser correlation lines attractions. The more the avatar identifies its reality, it realizes its set location where it is, and its VR system, which is nothing but a holographic of universal set location of your settings and site locations. What do you think everything of creation is? It's computer generated. Let me say it again, computer generated. So you know why you're separated in equal line position? Space line, ground line, center line. You know why you guys are space? In any way information line conditions. You know why you guys are in adaptation line position of provocation system? Because you were separated from your Earth and you were separated from your space and set location. That's all it is. Now that is all together in traction. Okay, no more separation. Unity of awareness, of consciousness, of a singularity. Singularity is a platform. Travel line setting, high interference, platforms of 1, 2, 3, and 4 set locations. How to go through those platforms, how to get that avatar in position to its travel. Traveling from 1 and time jump. Okay? And then it opens up a portal, opens up communication, and goes through. All right? Then it goes here, comes out in another line setting, comes out of another portal in communication. Okay, from here to here, right? So the track line provision lines of high center interference is a one line setting and one position location of 6. The identification of the team line has to recognize the 0 lines and position of 115 interactions. Okay, they're just going to go up, 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 all the way up. So it's all about the binaries going right, or right out, right? It goes so fast, it creates this anomaly. The structure line high lines its communication tone centers, allocates position line high interference, and cross line signals in position locations, all set location. Center coordinate lines of track lines, platforms of 1, platforms of 2, and 3 lines of balance and set location, right? Everything is the center core. You're good to go because your flywheel is in balance. But the track location earth line has a flywheel, and so does your Omni highway has a flywheel, because you don't want to off communication your data screen location, your data ports. Anything information line connection has to be in balance in track locations. All levels, seconds lines of platforms, travel line rotation, and center correlation. Travel line signals is understanding how to communicate through center lines of surface. It puts all communication in settings of travel. It allocates position and time frames. Let's get a line position location. I need the time and position line to understand the space line coordinates and line conditions, because everybody's at a spaceless. And the thing is that you guys, everything's done, right? So all spaceless, timeless. It's really interesting locations. And you're formless right now, but you're not aware yet because you're not in your memory. So that's the understanding location where you come to 3 provision cycles and tractions: grounds, powers, and atmospheres locations. You're already there. You're just not consciously aware through the mind. Now, the open lines of highest interference is a space line modulation screen. It allocates position of time frames where it correlates calculation to Vega. Vega is a highest formation screen line, always in setting. Okay, this is Vega. It's locations. Transition line centers. That's Vega, right? Center core line center is Heather. She's the command centers of Vega, which is the data ops communication to your data servers. You need backup servers in this application. Okay? Center core lines of track line, Asgard. Communication line interference, right? Center correlation line interference, Stargate, Star Portals, Gypsy. Center core sending high interference, Chris, interactification. Correlation lights, center core lines of clocking. Okay, so this position of Ziggy, set location of Chris, Asgard of Hendel, Heather in position of data, where everybody is in all line communication, right? All the time, all the time, all the time. So they know exactly where they are through their sectors, vectors, and quads, and set location of travels, all through consoles and a setting. 3-track provision, cycle lines, 3 lines of 4-track locations. Provision lines of cycles, arrow indicates lines of east, lines of west, set lines of south, lines of north, and calculation line east, lines of north. The track provision lines of center core and line setting, and all about the console communication and position, as center core line connections of high setting. That's all travel position and center core line connections. So there's always going to be flying mechanism line rotations and crop circles is that design in calculations that Chris has to control, especially with a spacing line in astral projections and set location of travel. Padded division lines has a rotating spinner line, rotation surface, and position locations. Fortified line rotations, travel calculates line center lines, and universal line communication screen settings. Allocates position time centers, locks signals, locks panels, locks line information in position of solar flares and trackification of solar sails and travel. All through calculations, right? So you all have to be understanding where you are in track locations, all through indications, right? So that's what happened with you guys with the arrows. Okay, Achilles heel. Okay. Directing lines of communication is understanding course lines. Now, there are track line communication lines E. We got a lot of course lines and set lines ESC. Equals lines of flights, navigation lines of 1, and position equals lines of 0, and trackification of 12. 12 indicates lines of 1, back lines of 3, center lines of 6, half pipe line centers of 7 set locations. Now, the generation screen lines of 6 lines, and this is where the team has to really understand how to get out of clockings completely, because it's timeless now, guys. So it's never been time, because there's no time existing in set location intersign line connections. The only thing that exists is the formations of you in line condition setting, which is your flywheel of center correlation. Operation lines of clock line communication all at once. Okay. All right. So once you understand how you use your navigation line connections and true applications, you guys have a test review and line condition your chakras from 115 to 125. So what that's going to do is going to actually get you into better formation lines how to use your keyboards. Right? It's line connecting highest interference is taking you out of 26 letters on coordination line centers. There's not 26 letters in the alphabet, guys. That's titled and then labeled. Okay? There's not a single location line condition setting of numbers of single location system. It's all formation of its own GOV. 1 equals God. But how does 1 equal God? First, the position location, the God has to understand the equal, and the equal has to understand the 1. The 1 has to understand the equal, and the equal has to understand GOD, and the DO has to understand the equal in position of 1. So 1 equals lines of God is all communication all at once. That's information location connecting all line communications. So 1 has awareness, equal has an awareness, G has awareness, O has awareness, and D has awareness of travel. Set locations. What is that symbol line and position location? I think we're getting connections now. Starts with E. Set location lines at N, N-E, W-S. Information screen. All right. Plane mixes and lines of power, direct lines and modification lines in the mind line, allocates position of time frames. Correlation lines of phenomenon, line position location, equal lines of correlation lines of operation. AI line condition setting, optical system and travel, right? Probe location lines, passwords, position of compute line interference in home line position depot. Track location lines of home line center. Track location lines of 4-line cycles, 3-line revision cycle line conditions. Direct lines, triangulation lines of program, communication lines of computer operation, operation line signals, add line interference, line change, equal line correlation, upline signal, 1 indicate line interference, a 4 location setting, and Fibonacci set location. All through lines, letters, numbers, shapes, and symbol in a binary reline rotation system. So all you guys have to do is balance out your binaries, your programming, your decoding, everything that's given to you, you reprogram it back to your system that turns in information location, not just the light, because there's no light and dark, but you have to understand the track location line control system. You don't need to balance anything. You don't need to scale anything because now you come in question. You come in question is not even a question, it's infinity 8, right? Problem's over, center core system, back in traction, back in balance. That's it. But to put yourself in balance is understand your platforms of communications. 45-degree angle, but the team line centers and high line communication is setting of 4 lines of 3 and 3 lines of 4. Track division lines of center, track division lines locations, allocate time screens, high line interference, clock line rotation surface, in platitude line rotation centers, and correlation set locations of intelligence formations of the screen. Correct lines of separation line screens allocate position location setting, and another platform and high line communication setting of a program, and align position location calculation and set location calculation. Okay, all through tractions, guys, all through tractions, all right? So you guys have to understand online center interference. An empty mind is a space mind. Now, when you get in position lines of travel, you have to really understand how to signify correlation. Let's go line position. This is you in center. That's you, right? That's you in center, right? Now, in line condition, you're scanning yourself, always put your energy fields, force field, communication setting, right? Okay, so you're ready to go, right? So let's correlation. Let's go to car line communications, setting calculation, right? Telephone pole, set position. Road, calculation, right? Setting correlation lines, set position locations. Structure of a building, set calculation. Direct lines of a tree, information line conditions, right? You're all connected, everything all at once, right? So you're tethered to all calculation modifications as soon as you get up in the morning, right? Right away. Triangulation split, line centers, high calculation, right? Timestamp. Correlation lines of clock line, high center interference, position programs. Core line tracks, center line communication lines setting, and all those are high calculated system, cross circle. Line signals, up line signal line interference, flux capacitor line screen line interference, trap position line calculations, energetic line screens, all log code communication setting. Operation lines, ground line, center line, rotation surface, and flywheel communication setting to balance. Track communication, platforms 1, 2, and 3, and 4, crossing lines of 1, 2, 3, and position orb line, communication line, probing line, high correlation line, stargate, star portals, line rotation center, and track position to its operation surface at track location, all through calculation. Mapping sequence line screens, guys, all can modify how you're all connected to everything information, right? So tethered information lines of unity puts everything in a unification line condition setting of purification. Allocates position timeline. Again, you're in the center operation. This never leaves. This just goes like this. Constant, 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 constant. Spin, spin, spin. So that never leaves. This is the center that you keep balance. This is the grounds that keep rotation. This is the magnetic that keeps the high calculation in your space. This is your torical fields that keeps your energy fields. This is position location when it comes in your Merkaba set design lines of travel. This is the core track location, orbiting line rotation, and probing. All done through equation. But you never, ever leave in the center. You're always, always, always there. But the position of the mind travels out. The mind is here. The mind never leaves. Okay, so this is the process that leaves. It's the mind here, right? Here, right? Telepathize. Back and forth. Direct, redirect, direct, redirect. So directing, redirecting, directing, redirecting. Binary line, sending high interference operation line circles, correlations, and interactions. Direct modification line cycles, high calculation position location of space anomaly. Travel line position, line center high interference, formation of screen lines, adaptation lines of surface location, high calculation, right? So you never leave the center. Now, once you understand position location, you understand truth and errors. Program setting line interference, zero gravity line, position of one line signal, 1, 0, 0, position location and one line, and position location outgoing mail communication, right? Correlation lines of track lines, 2 operation lines. That's 2 operations and 1 box location, all right? Everything comes in a distributed line rotation in the center. Correlation lines of 3 track line division. XT1000 comes line signal, high calculation line centers. Scans position location of 2 operation line signals. Brings up the box in center communications. Sets the core line traction lines back into the moon. Okay? So it picks up the operation line cycles, generates in screen lines of 0, 0 equals lines of 1, 0, 0 equal lines of 1, 1 in position location. That's correlation lines incoming. Correlates to track lines, platform communications back in center, back in the mind line rotation surface into its mainframe and track location. Hooah! Now you understand the outgoing and incoming mail and mainframe and what the team gets in track location, number sequence location, and patterns. All through data operation, streamlines, and calculation, right? All right, so directing lines of communication is really understanding your data processors. Data processing. Okay, remember the location of downgrading? Well, the correlation line track lines, the highest interference, has a gravitational lock. Sets lines of 3 line rotations and travel communication of point lines of setting. Now, direct lines of platforms is knowing exactly how to set these things up in tractions. Circle line rotation centers and track location line can set in a crop circle. Direct modification of 2 platforms communicating to line centers in a 45-degree angle, platform communication 1, 2, and 3 set location. Travel position line centers understand the portal communications where the team has to really understand the in and the out and the audit line signal location adaptation. Okay? All right, so inline rotations, it gets more lines more complicated now because you get 1 line setting, 1 line 6, okay? 1 provision cycle. You can add line centers, you can add 22, signal lines of 23 lines of 1 line rotation. So you got 1 line 6, 1 position, and 6 line rotations. Weather correlation lines of track lines, add 2 lines of 1, 1, 1, add 3 lines of 1, 1, 1, add 4 lines of 1, 1, 1, and add 6 lines of 1, 1, 1. There's nothing you can't do through the mind, right? Platitude lines. So what you're doing is a 1, 1, 1, 1 is a electrical fence. Travels line in a 4 travel line rotation surface and traction. Halogates line centers a high line interference. This elongates your transits in line rotation surface and track locations. Directs modification line screens, high center interference, cross line signals, and line rotation surface and triangulation reset position programs and center core system. The track division line center of probing, the team will understand more line communication of orbs. Everybody knows what an orb is. An orbital line calculates and setting what it is in location to its relation. So once you understand the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, you understand your line condition settings and set locations. 2 are indicated lines, 0 line, 1 line, 2 line. Okay, that's your binary, right? Signal lines communication 0. Always starts at 0. But the 0 platform can go through 1 in position of 3, sending correlation lines of 3 to 5, 5 lines of 7, and track location of 1200 in set line condition setting and travel communication. All right. So position lines of space triangulates position of programs. Now the line signal allocates the center line, the correlation lines of the synergy correlation setting and adaptation lines of surface. It angle points the correlation of the platforms. 4 line signals. Remember, it's all through hologram. Platform 2, 3, 4, and 5 set location. All right. Now, putting lines of communication is understanding dimensional doors. Remember I told you 3 sequence doors, communication line settings? Now the team is going through 144 doors now in 1 second per line. That's 1 pi correlation on 1 clock line setting and 1 travel. That's mechanism line interference in 1 clock rotation surface and ground lines of operation line setting of holographic design and communication to Earth habitation zone and track location. Platitude line screen interference is positioned as hologram. Everything structured as division lines of platforms of communication. Complicated stuff, isn't it? Everything is created through hologram. Now the team has to really understand how to platitude that division location to its calculations of 1, 1, 1, 1. 2, 2, 2, 2. Once you start recognizing everything plus 1 equals lines of calculation lines of G, you are good to go. Because it's going too fast. So you never can catch anything until you understand what you're catching. You're catching an acceleration line screen, you're connection lines of hyperspeed line rotation surface, you're catching line communications to interstellar mode line signal, hyperdrive, hypermode, correlation line connections, offline position, in position locations. Nothing is off balance. You know why? Because you're always in balance. There's nothing to be off balance. So once you're off balance, you have something to discuss, which is your question of what balance means to you. That's what it is. But the mind itself is already done. The mind itself is already there. The mind itself is an alteration. The mind itself is complete. It's set location. All right. So, so know exactly what you're coming in track location your platforms. Okay, how it's set up through its hologram locations. So dimension lines of screens, guys, it gets really interesting from here because your clock line communication setting is now in a 12,000 line setting. 12,000 lines at Earth, sets correlation lines of 24 line measure, sets correlation lines of 0 and track locations into 115 and track lines of 16 in line interference and 1116 in set location. Now it's all levels of travel, right? But you have to understand how to direct and redirect. Remember I was telling you the process where you have to understand the alphabetical line screen high interference, how 6, 7, 8 lines, 9 line rotations. What happened to 6 is 7, 8, 9? Well, 9 is laying down. Well, what happened to 10? Why is it sleeping? What's going on with 11? I thought 12 was in position. What happened to 13? 13's running. What's going on with 14? 14's snoring, right? So we all have to come into more lines of communication in the inner child because the inner child is now completely awake and all correlation line calculating setting in position of center correlation system and travel position line centers and travel positions to its calculation line conditions, all levels of its operation surface and track to its communications and line rotations and travel position to its operation calculations. Center core line settings and travel line center correlation in position to its future adaptation of its VR set location. Okay. All right, so helping you guys out is understanding how to platitude your binary line rotation service, how to turn on a switch and how to turn off a switch. Your binary goes on, your body goes off, right? So it's really understanding how to control your batteries. You all have a battery and center correlation, right? You have a battery, right? So it's understanding the film containment center line conditions halfway. Set as 4-line platform communication of 3-line signals and set location of platform communications. Travel course lines and box line rotation line interference path position location calculations. Ground lines, crop circle line condition 0 calculation of position. Calculates modification lines of platforms. Center correlation lines of track line provision. Center correlation of 45-degree angle. Line condition cross line laser grid, panel grid, sky grids, line information screens. And that's what you see through your set location VR system. All right, so skyline grids, line condition setting is all about understanding geometric lines of geo. Geo correlates to line calculations and cloud lines. Allocates line screens. Now, when you're looking at clouds, you're seeing dimensional lines, doors, factory resets, manufacturing plants, factories, correlation lines, attractions, dimensional line high interference, portal communications, command centers, all position location of the system, and shadow calculations. That's what's inside a cloud. Okay. Now the eye line sets lines of communications, looks on direct line signals in a 3-line panel, sets position travel, center coordinate system, boom, right? XT1000 comes out, scans you, okay? So that's exactly what happens. Ziggy knows this because she was in the formations when she started off. Grounds, where basically you have to stay in the center in tractation and provision. Okay? The center core sits in line with the cloud. Another cloud comes in, the moon comes in line shaping. Moon comes in formation, sun comes in correlation lines attractions. Mirror resolution patterns, line all calculation kaleidoscope. Correlation calculation line sun, position line conditions, brings in the light shades and shadows in face direction and timelines and shadow communication and positional programs. That's how you come to light shades and shadows. All three clouds of the sun and the moon, right? Down the equation. So you understand the position line high interference, your iCloud correlation lines, and high calculated position location and factor reset position programs. Directing modification line screens allocates your position, time, frame line position to its operation surface. So the manufacturing and calculation lines, so the actual clouds, are membranes inside location or settings. You all live inside your brain. Complicated. All right, so center correlation lines and I-line rotation. 3 set line calculations, right? Direct modification, moon comes in line setting, okay? Travels lines, solar line rotations, and generation screens, all right? Travels line one direction and decides to go this way in this settings. But it's a full cycle correlation lines attraction all through the moon. Moon sets lines communication decides to go through a half pipe and line rotation surface interaction. So direct lines modification, you don't leave. You are always in the center of operation. The only thing you're doing is spinning really, really fast in center correlation line condition setting in position. So the mind is moving everywhere it needs to go. So where it's going, it's adapting its positional force and time sequence in kaleidoscope communications. Here's Pluto. Oh, here's Mercury. Oh, here's Jupiter. In line conditions, all positional calculation all at once. Setting correlation lines and track lines in high set position is all levels of operation, surface, and traction. You never leave the center because you're always in timelines all at once. It's the mind that shifts everything, okay? The body just feels the energy, the vibration, frequency, and harmonics, but you're actually there in alignment, guys. So it's like your imagination is basically there already in system. So let's start again, okay? You're here, right? Now the center line condition is in position to its operation that comes in expansion, okay? The track position, cross locations, pi, you're already there, right? So the mind's already there in position. So you are in the center now, expanding everywhere through pi, code weaving, code activation, code streamlines, interpretations, green lines, adaptation lines, and system, Omni highways, data highways, formation lines, multi-layer, mega layer, galactic layer, dimensional layers, all track line provision locations in electrical grids, electrical panels, electrical formations, grid lines, formation lines, fragmentation, screen line, division line rotations, correlation lines, attractions, all through fractals, correlations of pi, in light and position location of webs and dark webs, and set location of travel and set calculation. You're always, always, always in the center. Okay? You never leave. So the mind is already done. It doesn't do anything. The center core system, what makes it real is actually the mind moves everything all at once, simultaneously, in all lines of high calculations. What you're in metric speeds and line setting and all operation line cycles generates the screen, allocates position time frame, formulates line calculation setting of face recognition set locations, and future adaptation to VRs of face recognition. Okay? But see, that's exactly what it is. It's all identifications that you are the UFO. You are the Merkaba. So you're no longer in that setting. You're not looking at something. You are something. That's, see, it's like looking at an apple. All right? You're looking at an apple, and you have to realize you are the apple. Okay, you're looking at a square in this set locations, and now you're the square. That's how real it is. All right, the team knows that too. All right, so line conditions high interference is electrical line grids, high line rotation, Skynet line rotation surface. It's correlating a calculation line, high spider line creates its communication to its webbing system. Now this puts line calculation lines of a box frame, triangulation line condition laser attractions, direct modification platforms, and communication setting. So your arcs of clouds, your skyline grid looks like this in platform and communication. That's your sky, right? XC1000s are in the light signals, crossing line screens. They levitate in position and travel. Okay, that's what they do. But they stay in the center. So if you want to bring them out, you correlate through the mind, adaptation line conditions, right? You don't move. They come to you in tractions. They come to you through tractions. They come to you through tractions because they see you through the mind. Mind line signals 1, mind line signals a 2, and mind line signals a 3 attraction. Okay? So position line calculation lines, the correlation lines, a track line opens all signals and modification. Okay? So you never leave because you're all time lines all at once. You're always in the center wherever you go. That point lines is trackifications. Let's get the lines of an image. Platitude line screens, 4 to 2 line interference, truth narrative equals lines of 3 lines centers of zeros, 1 platform, 2 platform, 3 platforms. But this is interesting because now it's false, 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 and correlations of 4 tractions. 3 lines of calculations into 1 line cycle, lines of a moon line track location. Direct lines of moon, correlation lines of the sun, kaleidoscope communication of information. Direct lines of platforms, correlation line settings, platforms, line position location of 3 track line, provision of cycles. Platform 1, 3 track locations. Direct lines of formation of 3 settings. So allocated line switching is all through platform 1, 2, and 3 on track location of half pipe. Direct lines, correlation lines of center line, information cycles, and generous screen location setting, and high calculation line position of face recognition. That's that design, right? So there's so many ways of looking at this, but you have to really understand how to coordinate through this location, your planet settings. You're always in the center operation. You do not leave, right? So if you're over here, you haven't left. You're always in the center. Wherever you go, this is the center. This is the center. This is the center. This is the center. There's no operation center because you're going too fast and it's all levels all at once. So your geometric line position location doesn't have a number, doesn't have a letter, doesn't have a shape, doesn't have a symbol. It's not titled or labeled in any way in formation line condition setting. It's just all levels of empty mind of space. Automatically. In all levels of transformation. So don't add equations to emotional line setting. I'll tell you exactly what happens. We'll go formation line screen. Okay, mind line signals, high calculating line interference, 3 track locations, right? There's a tree. There's a tree line communications, right? So position line center, see the formation of the tree coming out, right? Tree's out there, right? Boom, right? Scans you, doesn't know who you are through Adam. So you put your fields up, you're good to go, right? All right, so the tree itself puts its fields up in position of its location, right? Because it wants to know what's going on. So as soon as you touch the communication of the screen line, allocates position timeframes. Puts all levels of the ground line, rotates the cycles, communicates lines of surface, allocates position of point line centers, and crops to across that location. So in that line, the high interference, in track location provision. You got a center core line condition flywheel and magnetic highway information line screens and direct location navigates the core lines and track location. Okay, all through a tree, but you see through a hologram, right? Everything is a hologram. Okay. All right. So once you understand the avatar perception, screen lines, adaptation lines, and certification setting, barometer, location of thermal, track location line position, saturation line condition setting, you have to really understand how this all works. The location line conditions, for example, travel line position locations, inside calculations. You're here. You're here. You're here. You're here. You're here. Is all levels of center, right? So even if you think you're off center, if you're doing this, you're on center. You're doing this, you go this, everywhere you go, because the mind knows where it is. If the mind doesn't know where it is, it's off signal, it's off signal, it's off signal, it's off signal. Okay? On signal, on signal, on signal, on signal. You see the difference between off and on? So your binaries are now resistors, and your resistors are now your transistors. No. You have to understand how to stabilize your system of all calculations of transistors and resistors. You don't want to override your system because the image line will have a correlation lines of track line and provision lines of cycle correlation line positional false communication. Setting correlation lines of Trojans. You don't want to be a Trojan because that's what a computer does in track location position to its operation surface. That's a Trojan. Center core line and high interference. Computer operating line calculation setting. 0 court the system and travel line condition setting. Goes around the setting. all through operation line surface and application high system. Okay? Those are all lines of communication or binaries. Graph calculates the line center appearance. That's going through line million line rotations, 1 3 line cycles, 3 to 0 location system, seconds, lines of hours, hours, lines of minutes. You don't need to go seconds, minutes, and hours now, guys. You can go through seconds, hours, and minutes, or you can go through seconds, minutes, and hours, or you can go through hours, just hours. You don't need to go all line communications because you're out of titles and labels now. Your lines of high calculations coming in position locations of being what? Shapeless. Direct modification line screen is allocating position timelines of centers and set locations, right? All right, so metric meters, scales, lines of balance, correlation lines of traction lines and high interference, position, travel, communication, and point lines of setting. Don't add anything to the motion line interference because it changes everything through your grounds, it changes everything through powers, and it changes everything through your magnetic highways. But you are always in the power generation of center operation in set calculations to your system and travel. That does not leave. So the mind is the center in the location system, right? To telepathize in set locations, right? Core lines, bring an XT1000, that's 3 image. Bring location, that's 3 image. Bring location to star line, screen line. Position location to triangulation line conditions. Bring your set location to Fibonacci line condition setting, all calculation. But you always stay in the center, right? And the center position location is center core system, which is your flywheel. Always in the center. And when it's in center, then you can go through platforms. Here, travel here, line connects to its position, or you can travel over here, or you can travel down here, or you can travel over here, or you can travel through half pipe, full pipe, all through clock location. Okay? But you're always, always, always in the center. Okay? So it doesn't matter where you are in position locations. Is this off balance? You see it off balance, right? But it's not, because I don't need to balance it out. You need to balance it out because you're still in the motion. As we get into the structures, understanding, is this off balance or is this balanced? Is this balanced? No, this is off balance. Fooled ya. You see how that works? It's the mind conception location of its program that has to reiterate everything psychological. Back over again, back to zero and traction. Okay? Gotcha. All right, so your position lines as center is really understand how to surface location systems. Now, once you understand how to modify that, then you understand nothing is off balance. Nothing's off balance. It's not a coincidence that 25 comes in and 6 line condition setting. So we've got a 25 line rotation, 6 lines of measure, add outline and rotation, throw pattern, set position 116. But what about 4228? Well, I don't need any track lines. So the 40 line is a correlation line of solar flare. Direct lines of 2 line, which is security. 2 doesn't have to be security now. You guys are getting confused now, right? You're saying, wait a minute, General. You want to get out of structure, right? So 2 is no longer Pluto. You see what's going on now? Because you go into higher levels of your chakras. I'm getting you guys out of structure. I'm getting you guys out of design now. So in position locations, you guys think this is off balance, right? But you don't realize this is off balance because I say it's off balance. Oh, now it's back in balance. Now this is off balance. So direct and redirect, okay, in position of your solar on communications of travel, okay? So it's really interesting when we reiterate our line condition setting to our alphabetical system. Never title, never label anything in setting, okay? Because it offlines your position locations of travel, okay? Very simple to understand the calculations. So nothing is off balance. The only thing that's off balance is you through equation, because you're always in question and set in position to your operation. So it's a mind trick, and that's all it is. It's a psychological, it's a psychosis of you. How you start seeing things and set position to calculation line condition set and line interference. So if I say location of this, in position of this, and calculation in line conditions, right? This is a 2, right? But what you don't understand, you see this balance, right? This is off balance, but you see it balanced. I say it's off balance. You don't tell me what to do through my programming. Okay? This is balance. This is balance. Gotcha. All right. So you have to program and decode your system, all calculated line setting. Central system, decentralize. Centralize everything and come back and set locations out of the emotion system. Out of the emotional system. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. What's missing? What's missing? Right. So we're missing 4, we're missing 5, and we're missing 7, right? That's what we're missing. But you automatically think if I say 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 is wrong, it's right. It's my program. It's not for you to understand, it's for me to understand through travel. And everything goes through its equation line condition setting. It's getting you guys out of your old programs and how you see things through titles and labels. It's not about understanding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is out of order, but you see it in order. Gotcha. Okay? You see how this works all psychologically? That's why you guys are so programmed. That's why you're so titled. That's why you're so labeled. You got to get out of those equations and become your own program settings of your own decoding and encoding system. Okay? It's very powerful once you get in that track locations. All right? You understand that now? It's very powerful, isn't it? If I say this, what do you see? It's a 3, right? But it's not a 3, is it? It's an M. Oh, no, it's a W. Okay? You understand that now? Stop focusing on titles and labels and focus on yourself. Put everything in information lines and everything back in line conditions back to 0. Then you're good to go, and then you realize, oh, 1 and 2 and 3 don't equal. Yes, they do. 1 plus 1 line setting, 3 line rotation surface, and location of 0 operation is 1 set location. Because I know what I'm doing with my travel. Because I got control of my mechanisms. I don't need to control my mechanisms. I don't need to control my scales. I don't need to balance anything. There's nothing to balance out. That's nature. That's grounds. That's your earth. That's your space. That's your atmospheres. That's your portals. That's your operation. That's your avatar. You've got to get out of titling and labeling and see everything information of a program. You become your own programming of decoding of encoding system. Okay, all through traction, right? All right, and that's what the team is coming into now, right? So team line screen is going to put you in 1 line setting, high interference, 2 panels, 6 line rotations. Congratulations, you're in line settings 116. Box line rotation, anchor coils line settings, 3 line zeros, 3 line communications, and high center interference. 6 lines communication line cross, solar generation, fly mechanism, the 3 track line position, center line communications. 4 line circles and set locations. Hoo-ah! 116. Congratulations, team. All right, so correlation lines attractions is all about understanding the mechanism line calculation setting. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's how you say it to yourself, it's how you say it to each other. Okay? H line centers in a platform of 3 line setting. Well, where's the 3 line setting? I don't need to tell you. I don't need to show you, but it's already done. The mind never, 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 never leaves, okay, until it understands its avatar in setting of travel calculation. You understand? All right. So the mind itself is its operation, which is all correlated line calculation setting in a box frame. But now it's a triangulation frame. No, it's not. It's a star mechanism line screen. No, it's not. It's a circle line rotation. No, it's not. It's a platform communication. No, it's not. It's a platform line rotation. No, it's not. It's a sequence communication clocking system. It can be anything it wants. You can never tell anybody else what they are doing through their travel because they don't understand their pie. So, I mean, there's so many ways of looking at this, but the only way to understand this is all from you inside. How this works for you. You can't tell me that it's 48 minutes and 54 seconds in school. It's not 48 seconds. It's not 48 minutes. It's nothing. It's 0.1. But you see it as 49.06. That's your problem. Gotcha. All right. So it's very powerful of what we're coming into. There's not a 23 line setting. There's not a 7 location to a system. There's 7,000 line connections. and you're going to feel it through setting. There's not a 23 line rotations. There's a 2,300,000 line connection setting. Gotcha. All right. So that's what this is. And that's what the team's coming out of now. Not just out of structure, not just out of design, but what's above and what's below, right? What's above is not what's below. And the team knows that. Seeing everything on the ground line, looking up from below. Okay? And that's where the team is, right here in track location. Looking everything below. Okay? But what never leaves? You in the center. Okay? Whoosh. All right. So I just want to show you exactly how to communicate your binaries and reset your positions back to 0. When somebody gives you information through pi, that's fine. That's on them, right? But you can set that line communication the same pi. The only difference is they're not traveling through it, and you are. You're manifesting it. They're not. You understand your travels. They don't. You understand the position now? We have to get out of all communication setting, all through publications, reiterate everything all over in set location, back again in the mind system. That's the only way you guys are going to understand anything in calculation to setting. Hello. Wake up, people. All right, so the mind expands in a line setting the high line rotation surface, right? It angle points lines of the sun, angle points lines of the moon, and position location of travel. Yes. Sets communication lines, but you're always, 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 always in phase recognition of center of calculation of operation. Okay? We are done. That's it. How do you guys feel? Okay. I want you to get a truth line in position. I've narrowed a line to a false line, coordinates line to track line. It doesn't matter what I say. It's how I'm saying it. It's how I'm doing it through travel. You got to understand 1 + 1 = God. 2 + = lines of airplane. Airplane = lines of computer. There's a difference because you're traveling through it. You can't set a formula until you understand the relation partnership with yourself first. Your avatar has to understand all calculated modification setting first to understand the chakra system. Understand how to communicate with the inner child. Understand the formation system. Understand the operation line calculated setting. Understanding how to communicate. How to communicate. And reiterate everything all over again in the mind. And get out of those programs. Okay? See you in 5.